Guys, I don't know what to tell you. This is the best build I've ever played. This is build of the league. Play it. What's going on, guys? Welcome to my video, and today I am bringing you Ethereal Knives, my build of the league. Guys, I am not exaggerating at all when I say this is my favorite build I've played in a long time. It's lightning fast, it's tanky, it's all content viable, and most importantly, it's fun to play. So stick around, we're going to talk about how the build works, everything you'll need to get going. Let's have some fun. All right, let's talk about how the build works. Our damage is scaled primarily through power charge stacking. You can pretty easily get 10 frenzy and 10 power charges through the unique items in this build. Now, usually the problem with power charge stacking builds is they lack any sort of defense. I think that I've solved that issue with a combination of 100% spell suppression, elusive, high evasion, ghost dance, high effective HP, and dual recovery, all of which we will get into here in a bit. Let's talk Ascendancy. Occultist solves a bunch of problems for us and gives us massive damage. Let's go left to right here. Malediction gives us an additional curse, which is a bunch more damage, and also hits enemies with malediction, which gives us a little bit of defense and a little bit more offense. Void Beacon gives us cold pen and life regeneration, which is really nice on those Maven boss encounters. Frigid Wake, another combination of offense and defense. It also gives us Cannot Be Frozen, which is incredibly nice. Frees up a suffix on a flask for us. And lastly, Forbidden Power, which synergizes great with power charge stacking. The damage per power charge is nice. The additional power charge is a ton of damage. And increased area of effect is going to scale our Herald of Ice explosions. All right, let's talk about the skill tree. We path to all 3 power charge nodes. And on the way, we grab all of the life and mana reservation efficiency that we can. We take crit multi where we can, some more power charge stacking stuff. We grab spell suppression in a few places to make it easier on our gear, down here as well. We grab the 2 additional pierce and the more projectile speed. For 4 points, this is incredible quality of life. Something you'll notice on this build is we use no cluster jewels, which I love. I'm sick of having to spend a ton of points on cluster jewels, and not using them really frees up a lot of points on the tree to go get things you wouldn't otherwise be able to get. Now, we could raise the damage of this build by dropping spell suppression in a few places, dropping the pierce and having to get it somewhere else, and throwing in a pure damage cluster. However, I don't think this build needs more damage. This quality of life and tankiness feels really nice. For the Watcher's Eye, you have to get the Fizz converted to cold while affected by hatred. And then you can use pretty much anything else you want. We use a bunch of auras. Just getting 1 more would be nice if you can afford it. Replica Conqueror's efficiency is a really nice, easy way to get minus mana cost. And this build, as you can see here, 7.5 casts per second, really can spend some mana quick if you don't get reduction. Our Timeless Jewel is going to be a Glorious Vanity in the name of Doriani. That's very important. So Doriani allows us to get Corrupted Soul. Corrupted Soul gives 15% of life as extra ES to help with that dual health pool. And 50% of non-chaos damage bypasses your energy shield, which effectively allows you to take damage to both pools and recover both pools at the same time. Ring of Blades, must have. It makes your ethereal knives fire in a circle, which is incredible for clear. Lastly, we just have a rare jewel. You can do pretty much whatever you want here, but you probably want to get life, damage, crit multi, cast speed, projectile speed, all of those things are really nice. So I just have a combination of those things here. For the bandits, you're just going to want to kill them all because that's what you always do. The bandits are terrible. You just want the points. The tree is too powerful. For the Pantheon, we're going to take Arakali for the dot reduction and Abarath for the unaffected by burning ground for the Searing Exarch and the ignite duration. That's really nice to have that reduced. These are really flexible. You don't have to take these two. These are just the ones that I wanted. None of these are build enabling in any way. Okay, let's talk skill gems. Ethereal Knives by default gives you additional projectile speed. We want Anomalous to give us 2 additional proj. This is just really nice for clearing those really dense maps. Pinpoint is great for both clear and bossing. When you haven't cast in a while, you get additional projectiles. And when you stand still and cast multiple times in a row, you lose a few projectiles, but you gain damage, a ton of it. Awaken Spell Echo, you don't have to have the Awaken version, but if you can afford it, get it. Tons of cast speed, and you cast multiple times. Increased crit damage speaks for itself. Divergent Inspiration, this is very important for getting our mana cost down. Like I said before, we cast a lot really quickly, so this is huge. Power charge on crit, we have 10 power charges, so 40% more, and then power charge generation as well. For our auras, we have a level 4 Enlighten alongside of Herald of Purity for more damage, Hatred for a ton more damage, and it enables our Watcher's Eye, and then Grace to give us a big amount of evasion. We'll talk about that more in a bit. Our Herald of Ice setup is a 4-link. Herald of Ice in this build feels a lot like old Explode Chest. When made into a 4-link, we're getting huge damage and huge area. We take the nodes on the tree that give us Herald Area of Effect as well as efficiency, so it's easier to run that 4-link. Some more utility here, Steel Skin and Tornado on cast when damage taken. Tornado allows you to damage it, and then it reflects that damage to enemies. It's really nice for bossing. And Steel Skin is just a great way to get some more defenses. Sniper's Mark and Wave of Conviction for exposure is on our Arcanist brand. Just really nice quality of life to have it cast off of Arcanist brand instead of having to manually cast. Vortex Bone Chill on left click. That's going to apply a big chill to bosses. When you stand under them, the chill effect is going to increase the damage that they take. And then Flame Dash and Arcane Surge. For our Flasks, best in slot for pretty much any crit build, Bottled Faith. It's a ton of damage on this build. If you can afford it, get it. At Series Promise, we're taking a little bit of a damage boost as well as Chaos Res and some Leech. Jade Flask with an evasion suffix gives us a ton more evasion. The Quicksilver Flask I have with cast speed. It's not necessary to get this cast speed, but I didn't find more movement speed to feel all that important because we have so much of it as already. You can kind of do whatever you want here with the suffix. Lastly, Taste of Hate, incredible for this build. Fizz is extra cold damage, it's a ton of damage. We don't have a lot of Fizz damage mitigation on this build because we avoid, so having this bit of Fizz taken as cold is really nice. Let's talk about the core uniques of this build. The most important things that you need, the 2 absolutely mandatory, non-negotiable uniques are 2 Void Batteries, which give you extra power charges and tons of damage per power charge, and the Badge of the Brotherhood Amulet. This is going to give us 10 Frenzy charges to match up with our 10 maximum power charges. On top of that, you get 100% increased effective Elusive, which is very strong. Let's take this opportunity to talk about Elusive and how it synergizes with this build. Elusive by default gives 30% movement speed and 15% chance to avoid all damage from hits, which is essentially legacy dodge. Dodge was removed from the game because when stacked with evasion, it was pretty much impossible to get hit. Well, with Elusive scaling, this mechanic is back. Let's say you have 90% chance to evade. Because evasion is an entropy system, you will get hit every 10th attack. However, with 100% increased elusive effect, which we have, every 10th attack, you have a 30% chance to avoid it completely. So about 1/3 of the hits that you would take from attacks are now mitigated on top of the high evasion chance. This is incredibly powerful. Elusive also helps you avoid spells, which are already mitigated by 50% with spell suppression. Now this gets even better when you add Ghost Dance. Ghost Dance allows you to passively gain Ghost Shroud charges over time, and when you get hit, you recover energy shield based on evasion. My current version of the build recovers 720 ES every time I get hit. Think of this as life or ES gain on block, except you don't have to get blocked. I think people are sleeping on this combo. I easily level to 100 with this build, doing 100% Delirious triple beyond maps. The body armor is fairly straightforward. You're going to want to Awakener's Orb, Frenzy on hit, and spell crit, and then craft life as extra ES as a prefix. The life as extra ES acts as another way to scale our life and ES together so we can effectively use Corrupted Soul. As you'll see, we have well over 7,000 effective health between the two pools. For a helmet, you're going to want a Blizzard Crown. The added cold damage applies to our Herald of Ice, which is massive damage. It's very difficult to get flat damage added to your Herald of Ice, so this is a nice way to get some. I wanted Pierce on mine because 2 Pierces didn't feel like enough, so we have an additional Pierce as our enchant. For the actual helmet, you're going to want to awaken +1 maximum power charge, as well as nearby enemies have -9 to cold res. The +1 power charge is non-negotiable, you have to get that. But for maximum damage, you're gonna also want nearby enemies have minus cold res. I was very lucky, I was able to get spell suppression on my helmet when I crafted it. The gloves are super important. We get 60% of our conversion here. You're gonna wanna start with a good base of spell suppression and double res, and then you're gonna re-roll the prefixes with Veiled Chaos and suffixes cannot be changed until you hit the fizz converts to cold. Then roll 25% fizz converts to cold on the implicit, and you have 100% fizz to cold conversion from this in the Watcher's Eye. So for the boots, best in slot is the classic triple elevated, Tailwind, Onslaught, and Elusive. If you have the currency, this is what you want. But Elusive is non-negotiable. You have to get it here on the boots because it's our only source of Elusive, and Elusive is very important to this build. So for our rings, you're going to want to get life and resistances. You're going to need to get a ton of res on your rings, but you have essentially 2 free ring slots to do it. I recommend a Frostbite on hit ring as well, but besides that, nothing too complicated here. The belt, Headhunter is the obvious choice. No joke. The Headhunter is a huge source of stats for us, so if you don't get a Headhunter, then you're going to need a Stygian with high dex and high strength. However, this build thrives with a Headhunter, so I highly recommend it. It benefits greatly from the cast speed, fizzes extra, additional projectiles, etc. If I had a Mage Blood, I wouldn't use it on this build. Alright, so that wraps up the build guide. Ethereal Knives is my favorite skill in the game, so I had to make it work. I'm super proud of this build. Not only was this fun to play, but it can kill bosses, farm triple beyond Delirious maps, and it never dies. This was the easiest and fastest level 100 I've ever gotten, and I did it exclusively from farming maps. If you have questions on the build, comment down below or drop by my Twitch. I'm always happy to help. Let me know if you try this build. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you. Like, subscribe, comment. It really helps me out so much. And as always, take care.